Er I ved at ødelægge? Hele. Hi, I'm standing here in Aarhus and I'm going to visit the shop here where I've been invited by the CEO of Vestlyd, Henrik Reinholdsen, and have a little chat about the Vestlyd speakers. Come along. Hi Jesper, thank you for having us. Welcome. Where is the magic supposed to be? Here. Okay.
So I've been selling speakers for 11 years basically, and all of the speakers I've ever sold were slim, small white speakers with small woofers, because today's speakers have to be very subtle if they want to have a spot in your living room. That can sound great, but a speaker like this can do stuff that kind of speaker doesn't do. So we wanted to look back in the day when interior design wasn't a science as it is today, and how did they make speakers back then when they didn't have to, take all of the rest of the living room into consideration. And back then most of the speakers actually looked like this, and that's a reason for that. That's because you get more dynamics, you get better sound from big woofers like this.
The hole in here, I mean, is it just a hole or is there something else in there?
We did actually put something into it.
Okay, great.
So there's a reason for the madness.
Yeah.
This is what you call a coaxial construction. So that means that you have the tweeter mounted in the middle of the woofer.
Okay.
And I can show you here. It's probably easier if we take the woofer out of the cabinet. Then it looks like this. And here you have screwed into the back of the woofer, if you will, the tweeter.
So the tweeter surface there, yeah?
So this is actually the tweeter, and you can see at the bottom of it here, you can sort of see that it's a dome tweeter.
Yeah. And the silver thing here, Henrik, I mean, is this a regular horn thing, or what is it specifically?
Yeah. So when you have the tweeter screwed into the back of the woofer, you need to help the sound reach you in a nice way. So this is actually what we call a waveguide. This is machined from one piece of solid aluminum.
Wow.
And the geometry of it has been calculated perfectly so that it helps the high frequencies from the tweeter.
What is the benefit by having this kind of design and way of mounting both the woofer and the tweeter in the speaker?
Yeah. Here you get the sound from the woofer and the sound from the tweeter. It all comes from one point. So we can help the sound much better by doing that.
And is this beneficial for the dispersion itself, or is there any drawbacks to it? I mean...
Yeah, so what you get from this construction, basically, because we engineered the waveguide and the geometry of the woofer to function as a horn as well, is you get the loud sound pressure that you would get from a normal horn construction. But since the woofer and the waveguide also functions, both of them function as a waveguide, you also get an even dispersion of the sound.
Okay, so you actually don't have to sit in the sweet spot, so to say.
Exactly. Okay. You can sit, of course I would always recommend sitting in the sweet spot, but people sitting next to you in the sofa when you watch a movie, for example, they also get the great sound. So you can sit anywhere you want in the living room, basically.
Nice.
And get a really nice sound quality from these speakers. So what we did was we made a special design for the bracing inside. That's the part you can see here.
Yeah.
It even has a special hole for the magnet of the woofer to help with the airflow around the magnet once it gets hot, if you play for a long time, for example. So this bracing construction helps make the resonances of the cabinet around 40% lower. So you get a really rigid, stiff cabinet.
Okay, so it really means that you get the sound from the unit itself rather than it's the cabinet that sings along.
Exactly. Yeah. We spend a lot of time developing this woofer and tweeter, of course. So we wanted to be able, we wanted you to be able to hear that and not the cabinet. The two speakers are actually pretty much identical in the build. You have the same tweeter in both of them, and the woofer construction is the same concept, if you will. There's just a difference in the size, obviously. And then you get a different cabinet size, so you get more volume inside the cabinet for the 15-inch. That means the 15-inch can play louder. So for bigger rooms, the 15-inch will fit better, if you will.
Yeah.
If you have a smaller room, the 12-inch will sound much the same. It will be more than enough for most normal living rooms.
Yeah.
One thing that is unique for the 15-inch, though, is that we found that the special construction of this woofer and exactly the size of the woofer actually rolled off naturally at the crossover frequencies. So actually we saved some components in the crossover. There's no filter on the woofer here. And that's something that you will be able to hear quite easily. It sounds much more open and dynamic, immediate in the sound.
How does that transfer into, sound? I mean, is this a bass speaker or is it a hi-fi speaker? I mean, yeah.
It's sort of both.
Yeah?
Actually, we know that when we make a speaker that looks like this, most people will look at it and go, oh, I bet that can make a lot of noise, right? And they can make a lot of noise. They go incredibly loud. But we also know that if the sound quality is bad, then you just want to turn it down again. So we made sure that the distortion of these speakers is incredibly low. We've made all sorts of design choices to keep the distortion as low as possible in these speakers. What you will find with these, if you can keep going up and up and up in volume, and it'll just sound great still.
Okay. You'll have the clearness and the airness still in a high volume.
Often you won't even know that you're listening to the music incredibly loud.
What if I somehow didn't like the units to just pop out in my eye view? Is there something that can hide it away? If by any chance you wanted that?
if you hate my design so much that you don't like the look of the speakers, then first of all I will punch you. But then, of course, we've made these grills.
Okay, I see.
That can go onto the speaker as well. So when you put this on, I think you will agree with me, it becomes much more neutral.
Henrik, I actually listened on them on various kinds of amplifiers, and what I noticed actually is, of course, when I hook up a big amplifier, it sounds really, really great. But I was quite surprised actually when connecting the speakers to a smaller amplifier. It still produced quite a lot of sound. Why is that?
We made these speakers exactly to work with smaller amplifiers as well, because we know most people don't have huge power stations of an amplifier at home. So we made sure that these speakers could go really loud. The sensitivity of the speakers, it's 93 dBs and 95 dBs for the big one, respectively. So if you feed them 1 watt of power, they will go to 93 and 95 dBs respectively. That's pretty good.
Wow.
We also made sure that the impedance of the speakers didn't have any nasty twists and turns or spikes or anything like that. So you should be able to get by with a smaller amplifier, like 2 times 50 watts or something like that. Should be great for these speakers. Of course, if you want to play really loudly, the bigger the better. A huge amplifier, like a 250 watt amplifier, then you really start to hear the speakers perform at their peak.
It obviously sounds like this is a speaker that's capable of producing real hi-fi and great sound. But you also stated that this speaker brings the concert home to your living room. And I wanted to challenge you on a little thing here, because actually yesterday I went to a concert and I had my dB meter on my phone. And I measured maybe 9,500 decibel.
Yeah.
So I wanted to challenge you.
Yeah.
And by that I mean if we could try to listen to the speaker and maybe try to reach the same decibel.
Sure, let's do it. Challenge accepted.
And maybe get it just a little much higher.
Let's see, I think we can. Let's see.
Let's do it then. Hele. Okay, that's pretty crazy. I mean, so I
got dust on you from the ceiling.
Okay, so I couldn't turn the volume higher than 100 on the amplifier, so...
We got to 105 dBs, I think.
We don't have a limiter on the streaming?
No, I think that's the maximum we're going to get in this room.
So this actually means that the speaker can stand so much more than what's actually given from the amp?
Absolutely. We did tests in our listening facilities where we reach 129.5 dBs.
Whoa.
And we did use hearing aid. But we did also use a 3,000 watt amplifier.